it is very German to always question why. You want to be an actor? Well, why? Like, does that make, logical sense? We think. And we're very logic based.
Right.
Does something make sense?
Mm-hmm.
That's why we make such amazing cars. Like, that's why our system, certain systems work so well in Germany, is because we're very efficient. But that also can limit you artistically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like the antidote of creativity.
Totally. And I grew up very like when I think of myself as a child, and also my inner child, and my true essence is very free, and in that you're safe to express yourself.
Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of Going Out Looking In, the podcast where we're exploring the human experience through conscious conversations. My name is Maxi, I'm your host, and today I'm speaking to a very, very special person. That is my friend, that is actress, that is artist, Roxanne Rittmann. Roxy is a long time friend of mine who I originally met when I started out with my acting career or acting excursion or however you want to call it, and she stuck with me all this way until today, and we are very close friends who have experienced and shared many memories together, and trips and ups and downs. And her family has welcomed me with open arms, and so have I. And we go deep whenever we meet. We go sometimes where it hurts, sometimes where the crunchy bits are. We have seen people come and go into our lives, and we have bid farewell to some and welcomed new ones. It's been a hell of a ride with you, Roxy, and this conversation has been a testament to our friendship, our connection. Roxanne is someone that I truly admire for her courage, for her naturality, is that how you say it? Her freshness, her spirit, her open heart, her curiosity, someone who is so pure and lovingly kind-hearted that it was a pure pleasure to have her on the podcast, because she also carries a deep wisdom, a great creativity that lies within her. She's a true artist, someone who lives from the heart and expresses it right from there. That makes her not only a great actress, but an overall great human being who I am very glad and fortunate and feel honored to call a good and close friend. With all that being said, this conversation goes deep into all areas of life, creatively, spiritually, emotionally, personally. And I wish you great insights, as I always do with this episode, and my friend, Roxanne Rittmann.
Also, I just imagine the wind like with one gust, just like taking away all the
Needs to be in the
dagger.
Yeah. They're gonna be deaf.
They're gonna be deaf after that. You have to bleep that part. You have to bleep it out. You make everybody deaf.
And I'm gonna have a fucking sunburn after this episode. This is gonna be nice.
Yeah, but you're not as prone as I am,
Yeah.
right? You get pretty tan.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. Oh, you're even preparing
Yeah,
for the sunburn.
I'll roll up the sleeve a little bit.
Or we'll have to do a break.
Did you actually see
I
that? Because I'm already in that voice mode. Did you see that Matthew McConaughey is? I sent you it. I sent
Which
you
one?
The new book.
Oh,
Poems
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah,
prayers.
Yeah,
Poems and prayers.
Poems and prayers or prose? Was it prayers?
Prayers,
Poems.
yeah. Prayers.
Poems and prayers.
Poems and prayers.
Is it out yet? Why don't you have it yet?
I really
Have you read it? Well, I know what I'm getting you for your next birthday.
Beautiful.
Beautiful.
And he's currently doing like a book tour.
Oh,
and
he
he did actually one like, he's always like doing a reading, and then he has a musical guest, and he also did one show with John Mayer.
Are you serious?
Which actually would have obviously been my favorite thing to see.
That's like what you did with Lisa.
Yeah, exactly.
You did readings and you're still doing it. You did readings and concerts.
Yeah, exactly.
That's so.
So I'm playing some songs, and she does the reading, and then I also talk a little bit about men's work, and
yeah,
it's a little bit what we're doing.
How often do you do that still? Because that was quite frequent, though. I remember,
like
a year ago, right?
In autumn, we're going to be doing it like more regularly now again, because we have had a little bit of a summer break.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to it again. Actually, the most powerful ones are always the ones in the schools.
Yeah, you were saying.
Yeah, I mean, just like, honestly, yeah. It's like I'm talking to a younger version of myself, you know? Like, about belonging, about being enough, about being okay like I am.
Yeah.
And this is also the message that we get across, and also, like, obviously we tailor it to the audience. So if we know it's going to be like 13, 14, 15-year-olds, you wouldn't actually believe how many, especially the girls, have problems with mental health. But they're all, you see the scars on their arms, and you see the dynamics now. Obviously, as an adult, when I go into a school, I see myself and in the dynamics of the groups.
Yeah,
you know, all of
exactly.
the different groups, and you know, the cool guys, the bad boys, the nerds, the emos, whatever label you want to give. And I see myself in that, and I'm just like, I just want to bring so much compassion to them. I'm just like, oh my God, like if you only knew what else is gonna come in your life, like there's so much more still coming, and you don't need to worry about so many things, and the things that you think are the most important things in your life right now are not gonna matter in, I don't know, 6 months from now after you are out of school.
Exactly.
And you can actually create your own orbit of like what you want and who you want to spend your time with and stuff, because in school it's all predetermined.
Yeah.
You have to be in a room with these people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But that's also all you know. You know what I mean? Like we grow up in the school system, kindergarten or kita or wherever you know.
I mean, if that is not a good segue into maybe chronologically, I mean, we don't have to do it chronologically, but like, I mean, I remember a few conversations that you and I had about belonging and home and what that is, and obviously you growing up in the States.
Everywhere.
At least in the school system of the States, and then returning to Germany. What comes up for you when I'm mentioning that?
Searching for people that are like me, feeling alone, not alone in a sense that I didn't, grow up with lots of love and support, But coming from a very individual background of, being born in Germany and raised in Germany, but having a very American background. My mom's from America, and we spent a lot of time there. And I would say that the biggest, most profound aspects of that kind of shaped me when I was growing up were a very American kind of lifestyle and mindset, and that was very different from the school system that I was brought into and kind of the community that I grew up in Germany as a young child, and kind of always feeling like, I remember from the moment I was in school, kind of feeling like there's a side of myself that I don't necessarily have to dim, but that is different, and that you need to adapt.
You had to dim in the States? No.
In Germany. In this German kind of school system that I was brought into. And I mean, probably a lot of kids can relate to that, their first contact outside of their family life in school with, authorities outside of your parents and teachers and a system where you're supposed to fit in. And I felt like even in certain social circles, I didn't fit in 100% because I grew up very American in a German setting. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So
what would be some of the maybe just like an example or something that intuitively comes up?
Yeah. Oh my God, the smallest things, like certain words that I'm not accustomed to. That was a big thing actually when I became a teenager. Like certain words that I didn't know or I'd never heard of, and kind of, oh, you don't know what that means. Like, du weißt nicht, was das ist. Oh my God, Roxanne weiß nicht, was, weißt du? Or even like certain German shows. Like, we grew up watching Disney and very American things, and Barney and nicht die Teletubbies, not the Teletubbies, and that's a very German show, or Bernd das Brot. So just little things where you tell, where you just know as a kid, that's just something different about me and the way I was raised, you know what I mean? Those little parts. And it's interesting because I think that that's strung along through my whole life, I think up until my mid-20s. Even wanting to pursue a career in the arts as an actress, that definitely set me apart from most other, kids that I grew up with and friends of mine in Germany that went more. Yeah.
What did they say?
What did they say about it? You know what? It wasn't what they were saying about it, was what I was telling myself.
And what was that?
That acting was not a stable and sustainable route for me to choose in my life. And that was something that and it sounds so wild when you speak it out, because obviously I know that this isn't true, but for some reason we all have these predetermined notions that we deem to be true, that we've picked up from wherever in our experience in our life. And mine was, for whatever reason, that pursuing a career in the arts and being an actor isn't a sustainable, real job, And so then again, that set me also apart from most other, kids I grew up with, because I wasn't in an environment that was focused a lot on, creative expression and artistry. And I still chose that route.
So would you say that self-talk, those Glaubenssätze, like these things that you were telling yourself about what acting apparently is, it's a very, it sounds already like conditioned.
Totally.
It sounds like something that is picked up from like the surrounding.
Yeah.
It doesn't sound like that it's something like a child would say,
Not at all.
or like an innocent,
No.
free being
Exactly, yeah.
would say and feel. It's more like something that you've learned. And would you say that is something that is rather stemming from your time, but also your, like, the kind of education and upbringing that sort of is related to Germany? And would you say, and if so, would you say that this is less likely to happen in the States?
That's a question I've asked myself a lot. I think it's very specific to any type of community and area that you grew up in, you know, the circles that you're in. I think it's always very different.
Yeah.
But I think generally from my experience, Germany is a little bit more careful, and you see this also in if you look at our, you know, creative industries, especially the film industry. You have many different crime series that all are very, you know, similar in a sense because they work and because that's what people have wanted to see, you know, through generations and decades. We know that this works. But I feel like it is very German to always question why. You want to be an actor? Well, why? Like, does that make, you know, logical sense? We think. And we're very logic based.
Right.
Does something make sense? That's why we make such amazing cars. Like, that's why our system, you know, certain systems work so well in Germany, is because we're very efficient. But that also can limit you artistically. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it seems like the antidote of creativity.
Totally. And I grew up very like when I think of myself as a child, and also my inner child and my true essence is very free, and in that you're safe to express yourself, you know? And so that was something that I guess I just picked up in during my educational, my first like contacts with the educational system, that, you know, I wanted to fit in, and to be able to do that, it was looking at my life path from a more secure and stable and logical perspective. So that's definitely something that affected me through my teens, for sure. You know, when it's all about identity, going back to what you're saying with working with kids and seeing how they're affected by, you know, your readings and the work that you do with Lisa. I think as soon as you hit puberty, especially, that's when your whole journey in identity starts, and you really start to question and try to figure out who you are and what are we even doing here? What's your purpose in life? And I guess that's when these you know, that was very alive in me, you know, wanting to belong, but also then wanting to find my own path and be true to myself and my identity, you know?
So now, 30 years later, not 30 years later, but with sitting here with 30 years of age,
Yeah.
what did you come up with?
In terms of?
The question, the answer to these questions.
The answer to these questions. Well, I do believe, we spoke really briefly about The Art of Loving from Erich Fromm, which is one of the most fantastic books I've ever read.
Yeah.
And he talks about, our need to belong, that we want to belong. And I think as soon as you find belonging within yourself, that's when your outer world starts manifesting in that same way. Does that make sense? Like, your outer world becomes a reflection of what you're feeling and what's alive in you inside. Yeah. So I would say the more time progresses and the older I get and the more I become clear on who I am and what is true to me, my outer world and the people that I meet and the conversations I have and the things that I do and the activities I take part in becomes more and more aligned to me and who I am. And I mean, I just turned 30 last December, and I feel like it just gets better. I feel like everything just gets better. I'm a very reminiscent person, which we also just talked about, and I reminisce all the time on my childhood because that's a very separate part of my life. But I feel like generally everything just gets better because everything becomes more aligned, and you move forward. You become more aware of who you are and what you want, and the direction that you are going into becomes maybe not clearer, but just not as scary, right? Because sometimes the most exciting times are when things are unclear, you know? And change is the only constant.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. Well.
Does that resonate with you?
Yeah, I mean, we certainly, like you and I, we both have had and still have enough of that.
Yeah.
I feel like in both of our lives.
Yeah.
Just by the sheer setup of like both like being very creative people, and that just sets you up for not going on the same for me it's like a rail track where everyone is going on basically and driving on, and as soon as you're doing anything creative in this society, and especially in Germany, you're taking you're driving left and right of that sort of like general road track, and you hit resistances and challenges and obstacles like throughout all the way. Like it starts already. I don't know. I remember when I first started with acting.
Yeah.
Like the sheer logistical setup of like, okay, like how am I going to be insured? Where am I working? Like how do I even like, and then like explaining that to a system. Like I found myself in conversations with like a taxation agent. My parents obviously then. My insurance, the Künstlersozialkasse, like all of that, and like try to explain to them what it is that I'm doing, and try to like find a way that actually just like allows me legally to do what I actually want to do. It's fucking weird, like that we have to worry about this, or like I don't know. At least it was. I don't know, that was the first thing that comes to my mind, which says a lot about like me, I guess, and how we, or like, I guess a struggle of many people who are conditioned in this way, like the kind of struggles that we face instead of like a child, like focus on the creation itself.
Totally. Yeah.
It's like all the stuff like around.
Yeah.
I mean, so many musicians talk about this also. Like it's not even enough to be a musician. No, you have to be like a musician. You have to be a marketing expert. You have to be a social media thing. Then you have to know about like merchandise and how and where to sell it, and all the implications that comes with, and founding a business. And like, it's not enough to like sit down with a guitar and write a song. So,
Totally.
And I feel like, yeah, I mean, is that something that we want to have in a society? I mean, that also ties to the value that we attribute to art within a society. And I feel like many people, no, not many people, I don't want to say it like that. I guess there's just like, I mean, we had this during COVID really strongly, where we separated different professions into are they like really necessary right now? Do we have to keep them running? Systemrelevant? Are they relevant to like systemically relevant? And everything else we can shut down. And I feel like, art is like intuitively for many people like the first thing that, can be cut off and shut off. And it's like, I'm not so sure about it.
100%. 100%, because we see it as the separate entity when it actually just is a reflection of life. And it runs through everything. The whole human experience is art. Do you know what I mean? You don't need to be a professional musician or a professional painter or a professional dancer, and you don't need to make your money off of those, forms of artistic expression to be creative and to be an artist. Like, life just is a creative expression. And I think by us trying to make logic, of these creative expressions and put them in boxes, I think that's where we lose the true form of art. Don't you think?
Yeah.
But
Yeah, I know it within myself.
yeah. But I remember, we met when you were also acting at the time.
Yeah.
And it's just so funny that you say that, because for me, I was also looking for a way of how does it logically make sense for me to act. And we were both doing internships or working at a German, like a
Media company.
Company at the time. And I remember how your setup of being an artist allowed you to, have financial freedom and still the time to audition for these parts. But Maxi, like, that was I've said this many times, me coming out of a place where I still, I wanted that financial security and that stability and that setup and like a life that makes logistical sense instead of just completely, free riding it and just being an artist and whatever that means.
Yeah.
You showed me a way of how to be able to have a structured life with a financial structured income within the industry and still pursue your work as an artist at the same time. That was the first time I kind of saw that. I saw it and I understood, wow, this actually works. And that is kind of what catapulted me and gave me the first, the courage to take the first step and pursue this as a career, but it's just funny that how we both came from, we allowed ourselves to work as actors, but also only within creating this like safe container that makes not only financial sense, but also like somehow in a weird way, like logical sense. You know what I mean? And then having that space and then being, going on auditions and acting from that point. Not to say like anything's bad with that. Like, that's literally what jump-started my career as an actor. And if I didn't have that, I don't know where what my life would look like now. Or when I really would have started, or, you never know. But, then there always is also like the business side of these artistic endeavors that you can also get lost in. And sometimes it's about finding the balance between the two.
Yeah.
Right?
So much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, as much as might have inspired you, like you've inspired me, on exactly that creative side, because I really do think and feel that like that's something in the US that they do quite well.
Yeah.
They nourish, I feel like, really that artistic side and also the physical side, like in terms of sports. I feel like those two, like performance and sports, like if you want and you have an incline to like lean into that, you can really do a lot in an early age, and you have like a system of like support that allows you to freely, obviously still within a structure and everything, but I would say it's a completely different level also of professionalism compared to Europe as a whole, I would say, and Germany also. So when I'm just looking at the high school football teams and stuff, I mean, like the level that they are like playing in is like insane. So I feel like that's something, to nurture that seed is really something very important, and also something that you cannot really replicate later on. Like either you had it or you don't. That's the same with me with animals. I feel like to grow up with animals is something like either you had that as a child or you didn't. and it's hard for me to establish the same level and intensity or like and trust and connection to animals as somebody has who grew up with animals
Yeah.
or who grew up within a professional sports team or with a band who, I don't know, where you had a room and you have an equipment and you have time and space and people let you play and let you do these things. And I feel that's something that is really precious. And to marry that, and I've interviewed like many artists on the podcast, and to marry this purely artistic thing and to protect that at all costs from the outer world, and to marry that with the business side of things and with like, okay, as a musician, like selling records or like playing shows and having people attend and your events and selling a t-shirt, like to combine this, it's just like some people have that capability and some don't, but I feel like it doesn't say anything about the quality of the art
100%.
itself, you know? And yeah, I mean, there are super successful artists who, I don't know, who they don't really fit into like a niche, but then they just like build it for themselves, which I feel like, you know, John Mayer says that all the time about his career. It's just like they didn't even know where to put me. Like I'm not a like pop singer songwriter in the sense of like charting, like that I have charting hits. I'm way too like bluesy and experimental on my guitar, but then again, I'm also not like an acoustic musician or something like that who plays background music in a bar. Like I'm still like I have like songs and stories to tell. And then he created his own thing, and now his audience consists of like people who solely come there for his guitar playing, like guitar nerds, really, who are like, oh my God, this tone and technique is insane. And then you have like women who are just like melting because he's like so dreamy. So he just found his own spot there. But then there's like so many singer-songwriters I know and I've interviewed here on who I feel like personally, like I resonate so much with their music, but they just, I don't know, potentially they just like gonna play in front of 50, 100, 200 people, and that's gonna be, it stays like, it's gonna stay like that.
Yeah.
And potentially they have to work on the side to make ends meet.
Yeah.
So I don't know, when I'm what comes up for you
when you say that?
Yeah.
That I can resonate, and that I've asked myself those questions so many times and so often, but at the same time, they all come from my mind. So whenever I try to make choices generally in life, I really try to focus more on my body and my gut feeling and the gut-heart connection. So when I start thinking about, you know, all these things of what if my art resonates, but with not enough people and I won't financially make ends meet, then it's all up here. And for me, I try to completely, I'm not, saying living in a delusional space of that could never happen. I'm aware of this, but also how is that going to help me? For me, being an artist is completely separate of that. And expressing myself artistically through acting and through film is completely separate of how many people watch this movie. Would it be great if, films that I'm a part of and that resonate with me and that I that you pour your heart and soul to as an artist into reach many people, that would be great. But for me, that's something separate. And that's something completely out of my control. I would like to focus more on how this affects me immediately if that makes sense. Like, as long as I have this outlet and I can also express myself creatively without, acting. It's just, I think a lot of it is more about how you move through life. And you can be creative even when you're not on set, or you don't have a paintbrush in your hand, or you don't, you're not singing in front of a crowd of people. You can be creative. And I think it's more a way of living instead of how many albums am I going to sell and how many, do you know what I mean? Because there's always ways to make ends meet. There's always ways to make money. There's always ways to, find financial fulfillment. And if I am lucky enough to make money with my art, great. And if not, that's also fine for me.
Would you say the one thing is tied to the other? Like, is it like an energetic link? So saying, for example, like, if you really, because you hear that sometimes, right? That like, if you really create, like Rick Rubin will go on and on and on and on about this. He's like, you just create for yourself.
Yeah.
And eventually, I mean, I don't know if he actually says that.
Yeah.
I mean, he definitely says like create just for yourself, and that's art, and no matter the outcome, no matter the audience, just like, if you feel it, and yeah, which I fully resonate with. But then like the thought of like, okay, so I'm doing that, like I'm expressing myself freely, and if it's really coming from the heart, it'll find people, and eventually you will be successful at what you do when you are expressing yourself like freely and creatively. And if you love what you do, really love what you do, you'll be rewarded for it, But
then again, when you say you'll be rewarded for it, what does that mean? Does that mean...
Yeah, let's talk about it. Yeah,
does that mean...
Yeah. I have my own
thoughts about it. Well, it's something that, choosing to go the route of an actor, an artist. You asked this question many times. I asked myself, okay, what does success mean for me? Is it really tied to I'm solely making money off my acting, or what is it tied to? Like, what does artistic success mean to you? And it means something different to anybody, and everybody is. Every artist will be in it for their own personal reasons. And for some people, it really just is self-expression. Like, you could literally perform, I don't know, a play or a monologue in a closet and no one sees it and you can be fulfilled. For some people, that's enough. For me, I know what that means for me. For me, it's about connection. For me, I always thought I love storytelling. And I do love storytelling because I love reflecting the human experience back, right? Through art. But for me, it is about connecting with either the audience or the characters that you embody or the stories that you tell. And
those are very different things, though.
Explain that to me.
Each one.
That's true. So, for example, connecting with your audience. If you watch a film and you're left with, think of any film that you've seen or the first film that you saw that really profoundly moved you. It was because there was something within you that resonated with whatever one of these characters was going through and expressing. So it was some sort of mirror in whatever way, shape, or form of something alive within you or an experience within you. Yeah. And that in that moment you connect with this actor, this character, the story. And that's what is fulfilling to me. Does that make sense?
Yeah, totally.
So obviously when I'm on set and I'm working on a character, I'm working on a film, on a story, whatever, I don't see the immediate repercussions of my work because I'm not seeing how people are affected by it.
Yeah.
For me, the immediate act is connecting with this other character and seeing the parallels between what's alive in them and is alive in me. Or also the differences of like certain aspects of them that I haven't explored within myself, and maybe digging those out.
Which, by the way, I feel like this is acting. Like,
Yeah.
I think like acting is connection, because if you are disconnected, then then it is acting in the sense of that you're pretending something
Yeah.
that is not there. And I feel like from my brief sort of like detour into acting, I could say like that my best acting was being done, or like I was able to do when having that connection.
Yeah. 100%.
And I was like, and also all of the exercises that we do, right,
Yeah.
are focused on like establishing connection,
Yes.
so that I'm like witnessing what you are saying, and I know what you're gonna say because it's in the script, but like, can I just like actually really listen, receive that, and then say what's written there, but like react and respond to what you are saying.
Yeah.
And then it's authentic, and it has like a unique aroma of like what is in the air between you and myself if we were to play a scene. Otherwise, it's like this static thing that I prepared in my mind about where this is going to go, completely disregarding what is actually here between you and myself.
And again, you said it, something that you prepared in your mind. So when you drop into the body, you're much more prone to be able to receive and receive what you're saying and what I'm energetically feeling from you, and how do I naturally respond to it in this moment.
I mean, this is exactly what's happening right now here.
Yeah, exactly.
Because like, obviously I know my role within the podcast and hosting and everything that happened before and la 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 la. Like there's like this thing that I could have in my mind, and I sometimes obviously still have. And it's also like an energetic thing where I can feel that like it's getting closer and closer as the conversation progresses, and the more comfortable we get. And with every conversation it's different. But that's like the best moments is like when actually I'm not aware of that this is actually even being recorded.
Completely. And that's the art also of especially being like on stage or even in front of a camera. When you have a camera literally like right in your face, and being able to discard that, and just be present with what's happening now. And that is, as you said, that is acting, being present, fully connecting, listening and responding from whatever place you're coming from, and it's not pretending.
Yeah.
It's experiencing.
Yeah.
And it's living, and it's truth, I think. And I believe when you fully tell the truth as a human being or an artist, that's when the magic happens.
Exactly.
Because that's when there's a part of you that resonates with a part of me.
And when people are moved, and
exactly,
when they resonate with the character, or when you go out of a movie and say like, oh, that was really bad acting, or like, because that was not happening. These people just like, they didn't tell the truth, what was happening in the moment.
Yeah.
They might wear the clothes of the character and the setting and everything is perfect, but like there's some energetic dissonance.
Totally.
That doesn't align perfectly.
100%. Because it's coming from the mind and not the body. And there's so many, you know this too, because, you've done acting workshops and classes and all that fun stuff. But there's so many different acting techniques that get you into these roles and into these characters. A lot of them rely on emotional recall. So working with experience is out of your past life. And that can be very therapeutic. Yeah. Because which I'm not saying it is therapy, because it is very different. I talk to my sister all the time about this because she's a psychologist. But there are so many parallels between the work you do in psychology and the work you do as an actor, because you're bringing up so much out of your inner world that you weren't even aware of was there before. working with so many aspects of yourself. Think about why we love villains so much. It's because they fully embody, unapologetically, the shadow aspects of us that we all carry within ourselves, but we're too afraid to look at.
Hide, repress, and deny, yeah.
Of course.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe when I really started to understand what acting meant, and that it wasn't about playing pretend, and it was about experiencing and having the compassion to be able to put yourself into another person's shoes and fully experience what they're experiencing, that is connection. And that then was for me the sign of like, this is what I want to do 100%.
Yeah.
And you grow so much as an artist as well, because you're constantly reflecting, with this work, you constantly are bringing up parts within yourself that were hidden or you weren't aware of. So, yeah.
Yeah.
What's coming up for you?
A quote from
Yeah.
Mike Posner. Like, you can, as an artist, your art can only be as deep as you are as a person. And like, I feel like that ties in very well into what you've just said. And I feel like there's, and I would love to hear what you think about this.
Mm-hmm.
So I feel like there's like two ways of, or at least in that comes up for me now looking back at acting and talking about it. I haven't talked about it in a while, like, and also not really having thought about it or anything, but I feel like there's one window opening towards great creativity also within acting, which comes and stems from this innocence, childlike innocence,
Yeah.
where it's just a natural state of being. So when you see children in movies acting,
Yeah.
I feel like they just don't know many things that professionally you would potentially have to know or would be taught or whatever. They just do and express as they are, and then that makes for great art, I feel.
Yeah.
And then there's like a time period, and I feel like that's where, in hindsight, I got caught. Like, that's when I started with my acting journey, was like also in a big maturation process within myself as a human being. And that was obviously directly reflected in the art that I was creating at the time. So I feel like now I would be entirely differently, like an entirely different actor, entirely different, because I'm approaching my life in a very different way. I know myself in a different way, and I was maturing to a whole like different level where like the road from the head to the heart is like, that's all I'm working on, not with acting, but like with men's work, with all of these other things that I'm doing. But for me, that is like, that would potentially make me, quote unquote, a better actor as well.
100%.
You know?
I had a really interesting moment when I didn't shelf acting, but during my studies at university, I studied film. I didn't decide to study acting. And I remember joining a acting class in Cape Town at the time. I was living with my sister for 4 months. She was studying there. And I decided this was after university. And I had two choices. Either I was going to go move to Los Angeles and work at my aunt's, one of the production companies she was working at. Fantastic opportunity if I would have wanted to go into more of like a production direction, or completely, free flow it, go to Cape Town and do this acting class. And I remember thinking to myself, Roxanne, you haven't done acting in like, I don't know how many years, the longest time ever. Oh my God, beautiful.
Yeah, that's a beautiful butterfly.
Wait a minute. I wanted to go onto my hand. But I don't think the camera can see it, right?
I mean, this is like, whoever doubts the existence of God, just like look at a fucking butterfly.
I saw it. I think the same butterfly was over there when you were setting up, and I was just staring at it. I remember thinking to myself, this was the longest time I'd ever gone without acting, without doing, because I always did some sort of class or theater performance or short film or whatever. And I think at that point I hadn't focused on acting in maybe like 2.5 years, like nothing at all. And I remember really wondering, what is this experience going to be like? And in those 2 years, I'd heavily, I believe, matured in my last year of university and really understanding, more what direction I want to go into, what I want and who I am, whatever. And I did like a year-long gap year, you would kind of call it, where I was working in Austria as a ski instructor with kids mostly. I was working at a summer camp with kids. And then I did a 4-month backpacking tour alone through Southeast Asia. And so this was kind of my year before going back to acting after taking a break of 2 years. And Maxi, my exact reaction was what you just thought of, was it had never come so easily to me, because I was so full of the human experience, which is exactly what acting is it's an expression of life. And I would find it really interesting to see like how moving into this kind of work, what it would be like, how it would be different for you now. And I really do believe in one of my, you know him too, one of my favorite acting coaches of all time, Kirk Baltz. Shout out.
He was on the podcast as well.
He's been on the podcast. Great episode in my old apartment, by the way.
With Zoe's running around.
With Zoe's running around.
And sitting
nibbling
in
on
the cob.
Was he? In the cob? Oh yeah, he was sleeping the whole time.
And I still have like the outro that I recorded, like where I just say like, hey, follow on the podcast and stuff. This was like recorded in your apartment, and then on the like behind me there's like this basket and Zoe's is
like
in
moving.
there and just like
so cute, peeking out. Yeah, but Kirk, he's incredible, and there's so many wonderful things I've learned from him. But he always says, you need to source your material as an actor from somewhere. You need to go out and live and experience life.
Yep.
And soak it all up to be able to reflect it in your work, which is also why I am so thankful that I've worked in other fields and I've done other jobs, because these are all experiences that I can use as tools to reflect in the characters that I portray 100%. And I actually think that it's an advantage to people that come out of other fields and other areas in life. Because you have so much more material to dig from. You have so many more experiences to pull from in your work. You know what I mean?
Yeah. But that's, the depth of, like that's how I see life and understand the world, and no matter what the fuck like it is in terms of like the words you're using to describe something and what discipline you're in, it's all energy. It's all energy, and certain frequencies you won't be able to access as a human, because this is all physics here, what we're doing, and it's all energy. So certain emotions have a certain frequency, and if I haven't tuned my radio channel internally to that frequency, I won't be able to express it or access it in the same way as somebody who has felt through that, I feel.
Exactly.
No judgment, no anything here. I feel like that's just like how I've experienced certain things and how I would self-reflect like upon the journey. And what also I feel like it says a lot about people who create certain art and who attends these concerts or goes to these shows, because they are able to receive certain fragments of what that person is like receiving. And I feel like, and that's why I like Rick Rubin so much when he says like, that is actually the job of the artist. Is like, can I fine tune my Empfänger, what's that?
Like can
My
I
receiver?
receive? Yeah,
My
yeah.
receiver, how can I adjust my receiver internally to a frequency where I'm able to receive what is actually floating around in the
Yeah.
universe,
Yeah.
right? So when Prince said about, no, I think Michael Jackson said it about Prince when he was like, so whenever I have an idea coming through for a song, I better be quick to write it
Oh, yeah.
down and do it, because otherwise Prince will do it.
Yes. It's that reminds me of a book I read, and I'm blanking on the name, but its whole notion is that creative ideas are their own entities and they like float around. You need to catch them.
Exactly.
And I thought it was so interesting because I've thought about so many ideas I've had, and then they've been umgesetzt,
Being realized, yeah.
being realized in like other projects years later. I'm like, that's interesting, like ideas, concepts that you have. But I do believe that it is all about receipt. You need to also be in a position to be able to receive that. Like,
And that's your job as an artist,
Yeah.
to get yourself into that position.
or even, I mean,
What do you need in order to be receiving that?
yeah, what do you need to be in order to receiving that? I mean,
What do you need?
in order to fully receive, I think presence and compassion. You know, experiences help because otherwise we can only cognitively understand a situation. When we've experienced it, we know what it feels like. It's almost like when you have had vanilla ice cream your whole life and then suddenly you tried chocolate and you're like, wow, I didn't know that something could taste like that, as an example, right? It's like when you meet people and they open you up to completely different perspectives and thoughts and ways of life and inspire you to a point that you've never even deemed or felt possible. At the same time, though, when you're working as an actor and you're putting yourself into the shoes of characters that are going through really intense situations like addiction, abuse, things that you haven't experienced in your life, and you don't want to put yourself in that position to just say, I've had that experience.
Yeah.
Which I also don't recommend in any way. I think that the way to access those parts and those experiences are presence and empathy, I believe. What do you think?
So I would have said security and safety, like internally, not like externally, like how I feel. But some of my greatest art, I would say, came from desperation, came from heartbreak, came from hurt, came from being dysregulated.
Yeah.
And having no security, and then using that as a tool for self-expression,
Yeah.
and then as a tool to access my vulnerability, which is something that I feel is very beautiful in art, because it allows other people to feel that too. And I mean, obviously, people can connect also with joy that you are portraying and expressing. But as we know, yeah, I just said I resonate a lot with the vulnerable parts as well within artists. And so, I don't know, I would say it depends on the situation. Sometimes I need space. Just like internally and externally I need space to create something and to receive something, and sometimes I need the exact opposite. I need overstimulation, and I need maybe like doing too much and then getting to a point of everything is too much, and that then allows me to receive certain codes because of that desperation and of that situation. I feel like, yeah, I've written song, and that's what I can like think of right now in terms of like really like creative output, where apparently everything was like perfect in terms like the setup, like sitting by a lake on a beautiful summer day, having a notebook and a guitar in front of me, but nothing happened. And then sometimes I was just like going out of the door, rushing somewhere and being completely like consumed by everyday life, and then something comes up and I go back into the house and write a song in 5 minutes. So I cannot really say what I need. It's different things, and I also don't know, I don't think about it in this way that I like think about. I mean, if I was to make a living from that, I would probably maybe would put more thought into it, but I don't know, I'm just like really relaxed, like whenever it's coming through, it's coming through.
Yeah.
I don't need
Acceptance that whenever it comes through, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't, and not pressuring yourself and pushing yourself to get to a certain point that just doesn't feel authentic right now.
Which is obviously the antidote of like creating a career in something, because then like, okay, the first album you created without any pressure, just like however long you took, and then that is out, and you have people attend your concerts and like it's going well. And then the second album, how many artists have had this problem? It's like, fuck.
Of course, yeah.
Oh, okay. A record deal? Oh,
of course.
They want me to record a second album?
Yeah.
Well, let me go to the studio. And
exactly.
then you go to the studio, and then like...
And it's very pressured.
What
yeah.
then?
Yeah, of course. Well, because the intention is different. Like you're creating something for the means of making money, or, you know, recording something for this label that you've...
Even if it's not even money, even if you have enough money, but then it's like... Yeah, I mean, that's what Rick Rubin says. Like, you're not creating for the sake of creating.
What does he say about that exactly? That when that means that you're not creating for the sake of creating. Like, elaborate more on because that's kind of what we were talking about before, of when you choose to make this your career, you need to really ask yourself, what is my goal in this? Like, what do I want in this? What does success mean to you? And what does he say about in the creative act, right? Yeah. What does he say about, do you remember what he says about does he say anything indicative to this?
I mean, I feel like he repeats himself like quite often, and goes down the rabbit hole of like, if you're not creating something because it comes out of you naturally, you probably should not do it. Or like, it's been also a while since I've read it, because like then he goes on and tells you about all the different techniques, and this is how I've actually also perceived the whole book. Is like this, he gives like you a million different examples of like what to change, what kind of like twisting knobs you have on the control panel of creativity that you can where you can turn a dial to enhance creativity and to stimulate it. I feel like that's the whole book, right? So he's like, for example, as a musician, like invite your mother into the recording room that presence of that person, for example, will influence your art in a major way.
Yeah.
And that's his job as a producer, to come up with these ideas, like how can we stimulate the artistic expression of this band or artist. And he's like, okay, let's invite a family member in. Let's let him record completely alone. Let's remove all instruments except of a guitar. Like only write on the guitar, only write on the piano, write with a full band, write with the lights out, write in nature, write in the city.
So
So
interesting.
and I feel like
Yeah.
that's the whole book.
Yeah.
He's just like coming up with all these scenarios. It's like, do this, do this, try this.
Yeah. That reminds me of so there's an acting technique. I don't know how well known it is outside of Germany, but it's called source tuning.
Oh, yeah.
Have you done it?
Yeah,
Have we spoken about it?
I've done like this
Okay.
introduction call and
But it sounds
talk to him. Yeah.
Yeah, it sounds a lot like it's by a German coach called Jens Roth, and I've spoken to it's very similar to Gestalttherapie. And what it does is it works with energies in your body. So you don't go into any of your own past experiences. You don't like work with any substituting situations or people from your own life into these scenes. But what it does is it works with the energy of certain things, like the energy of the character's mother, and it's always just character based. The energy of the room, the energy of the any type of props that are important to the scene, the energy of certain other characters, and your body intuitively responds to that in a different way.
Yeah.
It's incredible. Without even having to, write a diary as your character and be like, when I was 5, my mother told me that I was, bad at swimming, and now I have a fear of going the water. Like, without cognitively trying to make sense of things, your body just naturally responds to the different energies of these aspects in this character's life or in the setting of the scene. And it reminds me of what you're saying with, let's try out placing, putting the artist in certain places, environments, adding certain people, elements that will affect the creative process. It's so interesting. All your answers are within you, within your body. They're all right here. And it's right. Going back to intuition, the childlike play, how children are just intuitively so connected to what's within,
Yeah. Totally.
How do you, because obviously you're not working as an actor anymore, but how do you, I feel like you do lead quite a creative, I don't know, the sun's gone. Now you're not going to get a sunburn anymore.
It's right. Look, it's
going to come
like
back.
A tiny cloud.
It's going to come back.
Yeah.
We'll do a sunscreen break. How do you feel like you bring creativity into your life when you're not pursuing a career as an artist? And do you think that one of them cancels out the other? Do you know what I mean? Like, can you only lead a creative artistic life if you're working and you're making your money off of?
No, because I have a very different worldview now.
Explain that to me.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to the very big things, like what is creativity, what is art, yada yada yada, and that's the same way how I don't see waiting tables as waiting tables. Like for me, that is it's like I said again, it's all energy. It's an energetic exchange that happens all the time, and for me, it's about creating an experience. And the way that I do it, the way that I respond to people could be considered art, If you do it in a, I guess, very expressive way, people would even call it that. Like they would say, you know, oh, you put on quite a show tonight, you know, or you created a beautiful
Like
experience for us.
Like you're
this,
singing for them and you're
whatever, like, no, but, or making jokes all the time, or
Yeah.
like, whatever it is, like, where's the boundary? Where's the the border of like, okay, now this can be considered art. And this is also why, you know, with the Gene Keys and Richard Rudd's teachings, why that is something that so much resonates with me, because it influences everything I do. And where he uses that word, like the art of contemplation, the art of living, the art of, because these are art forms, and we have to, like, if you apply too much pressure and will to life, nothing will, like, something will come out on the other side. But do you know this, like, emotional chart of, like, like every emotion has like a frequency,
Genau, yeah.
and
I
there's
do.
like a chart of like where anger sits, and
Yes.
sadness and fear, and yeah, naturally, fear is a very low frequency,
frequency.
emotion, and I feel like that's a little bit, yeah. How actually now I talk in all sorts of ways. But not really specifically answering the question. I don't really worry or think about it a lot.
I think it's just you being, you know, like as simple as it sounds. But if you just authentically, because I feel like it is so much about how you move through life, and not necessarily what you do, but how you do it. Do you know what I mean?
Exactly.
And
Yeah.
and kind of like what Vince also says, how people do men's work and then they want to be a men's work facilitator right away. Do you know what I mean? Like you do go to an acting workshop and you know, you dig up certain things and you want to be an actor. You go to therapy and you work on it and you want to be a therapist. Like, there's so many ways in which you can integrate what you've learned and apply that to the life that is there.
Exactly.
You know?
Mm-hmm. Exactly. And for some
Yeah.
things, you just need a little or more of a physical skill set to actually being even able to do that. Like an instrument, you just physically have to learn. Like there's no way around it, really. To like, okay, I hold this thing like this, and these are the strings, and I can plug and strum or whatever. Or playing the violin or the drums, you know, you need a specific skill set to create something with this physical thing. But I feel like as soon as you like, even with the basics, like all of the greatest songs ever written are mostly 4 chords. Like there's not much more you need. You can orchestrate then and like produce and la la la, and but the foundation of the song works with the bare minimum of instrumentation. And I feel, and I guess that says a lot, right, about what could be considered art and where does it start and where does it end. I also feel like it depends on, like, does it make you feel something?
Yeah,
Right?
totally.
What would you say?
Well, just kind of to go off of what you just said, as an actor, you reach the other person, the person who's watching the audience, through feeling it. You know what I mean? You need to feel it as an actor and experience it so that you, as the person watching, responds to it in a certain way. And I think it's just about authentically experiencing life and being open to receiving that, I would say. But it is interesting how, like, now where you are in your journey, without officially pursuing a career as an actor, you would go about this work so different. And you would be probably be so much more present and connected.
Many people would be very pissed also at me, especially the
How
German
so? What do you
ones.
mean?
I've studied acting.
I've studied acting. Oh yeah.
It is.
We love to.
This is something that you can't
Of course.
do.
You can't do it.
You
if you
learn.
Of course.
It's a craft.
As a craft. I remember when I
Oh
moved
my
back.
goodness.
Yeah. I remember when I moved back to Germany. Well, when I moved to München.
Good.
Yeah. And people would ask me, like, I remember I signed up to, like, you know, all the relevant platforms you have to sign up to as an actor to be seen and found and whatever. And our butterflies back. And I remember someone from one of the platforms called me and was like, Miss Rittmann, we got your application. I wanted to ask you, why would you think you consider yourself an actor?
Yeah.
And I was like, I just touched down. Yeah, you know which platform I'm talking about. I was like, oh yeah, I touched down in Germany. I need to adapt to the German way again. And I remember he'd made an exception for me. And was like, I'm going to make an exception for you. Send in a monologue, please, and I will then decide if you can be on our platform or not. And I did, and he was like, wow, you astounded me. I did the monologue from Emma Stone from Birdman.
All right.
And like looking back, I think I saw that again, like recently. I found it because I was like looking for this other thing on my laptop, and I found it again, and I was just reminded of how, yeah, the audacity of me, you know, stating that I can be that I'm an actress. It's like this. I mean,
it's fucking funny.
It is. It's just like, you know, and that's, we want to, you know, in Germany, you want to make sense of everything. Like things need to make sense and.
But honestly now,
yes,
do you think there is something to it? Like, do
what?
people have a point?
Security and safety, you know, like.
But now you being an actress and making a living off that, like, are you in any way, shape or form, like, do you feel like insulted or like hurt by people who,
no,
or like, I don't even know what these people feel, but
no,
or claim to,
like, not at all. I'm amused. I find it actually really cute, like, because everyone's just trying to figure out life, and I'm not saying that this person specifically made this choice and, you know, like singled me out and is like, that crazy chick with the red hair, I'm gonna test her and gonna see if she's, I mean more like
I mean like as an actress.
Yes.
Do you feel like does it bother you that people who don't have any experience in acting consider themselves as
actors?
Or who haven't trained?
Oh, that's a very interesting question. Oh my gosh. No, I don't feel offended at all because it's why are you laughing?
It'll show.
But no, I don't feel offended. Like, so by people that aren't trained and then claim themselves to be actors, and maybe I see that they're not as like.
I mean, that's the argument that they say all the time. Like that's the vibe that I'm getting.
Well, I mean, I'm not classically trained. I didn't go to theater school, and for me to be considered a real actor in Germany, I mean, at this point, I've done enough real German, like I've been on ZDF, and it's like to be able to be considered an actress, right? But I'm not classically trained. I didn't go to theater school. I didn't go to a German staatliche Schauspielschule.
That's the next thing.
Ich habe dich inszeniert auf der Bühne. Und so I'm not considered an actress. Like
you went to a private one? Interesting.
Interesting. No, I actually went to an American. Oh, watch out! Crazy. I went to an American film school. Totally out there. So no, I'm not considered classically trained. So I'm one of the rebels. I'm one of the wild ones. I'm one of the Quereinsteiger. I wonder if these words even exist in the States. In the States, it's just like.
I mean, there's like in spirituality healing kind of work. It's like, okay, in German, like wer heilt hat recht. Like the one who heals is
Yeah.
right. And I mean, I would say like, show me your acting.
But that's what I mean. This is what I mean. I've seen incredible acting from actors that have no experience. But this is exactly what I mean, is like, you can fine tune your instrument, and you should. You should, you know, educate yourself in every way, shape, or form. And for everyone that looks different. For some people, you know, going to acting school works and training works. For other people, being I don't know, moving to Italy and being a cook for a year in a tiny little town, like that's what's going to, for whatever reason, crack something open in them that's going to make them an incredible artist and is going to create that connection to life force and life experience and just totally catapult their art into another level. Everybody needs something totally different. And so that's why, for me, I think it's, I would say, yes, you know, if you go to acting school, you know certain techniques, especially if you studied theater, you know how to project your voice and movement and you know, stage combat and I don't know, stunts or whatever you would learn, or musical, you know those practical things. But at the end, who would any of us be to define what and who is an artist? Like, we are all artists because we all create. Now you dropped it. You need to bleep that out. It wasn't Crew United, actually. It actually wasn't Crew United. It was wrong.
Fucking funny.
It is so fucking funny. It really
and I've been
was
like I don't know, the smallest sets, like not paid, like it's like,
yeah,
here I am.
Here I am. But here's the thing, like, and then you talk about, so I wouldn't say, like, I genuinely, I mean this. I've been in rooms with actors who have come from these big name schools, and I'm just like, I don't feel anything. And then I've met other people that are just like
I know.
honest and real and raw, and they just,
because they're awesome people
exactly
who have experienced something.
That's what I mean. But that's exactly what I mean. And it's not just experiencing, it's like having the connection and being open to receiving, and like having that, like cracking your heart open and having the strength to be vulnerable and let yourself be met with these things and be here and present. So I don't at all, like, I'm not offended at all by anybody that says, you know, I'm an artist, I'm an act, like, because we all are, of course. It does change when, you know, I've also been, and that's where, you know, I'm not perfect. I don't know where this part comes from, but I've also been on sets where I've worked with, you know, certain directors, not actors, but directors or people that, where I feel like, because film is such a collaborative art form, sometimes, you know, I feel like, there goes our first prop. I then catch myself, you know, and I would never say this out loud, but if I'm being completely honest, I then catch myself being like, wow, why does this person, like, consider, or how do I put this right? Because film is such a collaborative art form, when somebody isn't meeting you in a pure, authentic, present space, then it's obviously difficult to collaborate. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But that has nothing to do necessarily with where you went to school and how much experience you have. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
But then you talk to, like, psychologists that have gone through years of training and have, you know, spent, at least if you're in the States, so much money on their education. And they're all pissed because there's we've spoken about this, because there's people that are self-proclaimed coaches and have never gone through a day of training, and who are treating, you know, people with very serious mental situations or disorders, and sometimes can make it worse. So it's like, I don't know, it's you can't, also man kann das nicht alles irgendwie über eine Sache streichen.
Yeah, I know.
It's not the same, you know? Like,
Yeah, some, like, for example, Matthew McConaughey, Shia LaBeouf, John Bernthal, is he called like that?
who's that again? John Bernthal?
He played the Punisher. He plays. When you see his face, like you'll
I would know him.
immediately know who I'm talking about.
Yeah.
Those are people, in my opinion, who just in real life, as a human being, for example, as men, they're quite gritty men.
Oh, yeah, because they're raw.
They're a little bit raw, you know?
Oh,
and they have this rawness off screen as well. I mean, Shia LaBeouf, obviously, he has been in and out of prison even, I feel. I don't know I don't know if he has been to prison, or there were like at least like a lot of like allegations, and there was like problems with the police and whatnot, and McConaughey and Bernthal not really, but they're just like how they are as men in interviews, and I don't know if you like, and I really like them, so that's why I sort of, and I like their acting especially, why I'm sort of like when you tuning into that a little bit more, and it's like they can bring that on the screen because it lives within them.
Yeah.
And like I just could not. I just don't have certain experiences. Like I wasn't living on the streets.
Yeah.
Like not as in homeless, but like move in the streets and in the ghetto, and like have this street smartness about me. And like I have different, like I can portray a consultant. I can portray a businessman,
A cowboy.
a cowboy, whatever. Like
A lumberjack.
Like, yeah, but like this is like I can connect to certain frequencies because they live within me. And then I don't pretend, but I just like recall that experience and embody it through that. Boom.
Yeah.
And so at the end of the day, it's just like my grandfather used to say, like, you sum it up at the bottom. Like that's where you sum up a calculation. Like unten wird zusammengezählt. So it's like, show me your acting.
That's it. Show me your acting.
Show me your acting. Do the scene. Let's do the scene.
I remember you telling me at some point, and this was, I think, towards like the end of your kind of journey as an actor, and you just said, you know, I just don't have, like, as you said, I don't have these like really intense experience of like living on the street and you know, that other actors have to be able to to be able to, you know, like embody that.
Yeah, I would say
Right?
it's frequency though. Like,
Yeah.
You know, like a loss of a parent might be the same frequency as a loss of a loved one or something. Like that's with grief, for example.
Yeah.
Grief is like your nervous system doesn't differentiate between a death of someone or like the death of a relationship, for example, a separation.
Oh yeah.
So for the nervous system, it's the same.
It is the same. I mean, that's why you can substitute, for example, the death of a relationship with, I don't know, the death of a parent or whatever it may be.
And so I don't have to live on the street, but you have to experience certain frequencies of life.
Yeah.
Let's put it that way.
But then, I mean, these
But
like,
yeah, what was I saying?
Well, because you were saying, you know, I just don't think like I can live up to that because I haven't experienced it. And I remember that was the first time like I really thought about that as well. And I would say, I mean, every actor is so different, you know, and really trusting like the biggest part in this journey as an actor for me has been trusting that who I am and what I bring to the table now and today is enough. And once you have that trust, you feel safe enough to be messy and be gritty and be in the ugly and have things like not be fucking perfect, because that's like that's so boring. Right? Like you can't relate to that.
Yeah,
it's so fucking boring. It's like Nett ist der kleine Bruder von Scheiße. Like, ugh.
Yeah.
All right. Vanilla, you know? It's just, and I guess like trusting that your experience and whatever you bring to the table is enough. And then maybe, yeah, you won't get cast as like, you know, I don't know.
I mean, maybe I would, but who knows?
Maybe you would. Who knows? But that's why everybody brings something so different to a character. You have the same scene and it's played different 1,000 times by 1,000 different actors. The same fucking scene, the exact same words is completely different depending on who plays it. And that's what makes it so interesting, is that it's so individual, because your own experiences and your own self and what's alive with you right now versus alive within you, 2, 3, 4 years ago, or even last week. Das schwingt immer mit. It's always part of what you're expressing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think you should act again, Maxi. I think this is the launch of a second of your career.
Yeah, I think it will.
Join me.
I mean, just for the fun of it, I would love to do anything
Yeah.
again, something maybe like improvisation theater or something like that.
And all
could be
these
great.
totally and all these things like improv, like any type of acting workshops are, honestly, I would recommend it for everybody.
Yeah, same.
Everybody, because it is, you know, what we just said, it is so close to life. It's telling the truth, it's connection, it's, you know, everything we said. And I mean, I've sent so many of, like, my sister's been to multiple workshops with Kirk Baltz, and I mean, it's so fulfilling.
Yeah, but it's also similar. Like, if you go to a Sacred Sons weekend and look at men's work, and then you go to Kirk, like,
It's the same thing, or very similar.
it's very similar.
Yeah,
stuff.
yeah, of course.
It's very
Of course.
similar stuff.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, and everybody who, yeah, I think acting workshops are really great. Embodiment, like dancing, moving the body. I had a fucking broom up my ass when I
Oh
went-
my God. Yeah.
when I was in London for like a Lambda acting school. And I remember
forgot
like
you did
these
that.
Laban classes where you move through
Yeah.
the room with
Yeah.
different I just did it the German way, honestly. I was just in my head about it.
Yeah, you're in your
and
head
then I
about
saw
it.
like all these men, all these people around me
Yes.
who are like super like artsy and just like completely
Yeah.
fucking like screaming. and
Yeah,
it's
yeah,
just, like,
yeah. And you're like, shit.
yeah. But that was important for me because like I was longing for that kind of freedom. I was like, oh, I wish I was this free.
Because it's not about that. That's I think we spoke about this. I did I mean, Kirk does this too, but there's there's this one exercise for anyone that doesn't know, where and it's usually like the first exercise you do in the day, and it is where you're not dancing, you're moving to music. And you're in the middle of a circle, and everyone on the outside is embodying what your movement.
That's actually
You know?
literally what we're doing. yeah.
Exactly. And
Same thing.
the thought behind it is so intimidating. You're literally in the middle of a circle with a bunch of random people you've never met, and your mind directly goes into, I need to perform, right? So you start doing dance moves and you start like pulling out the robot. Maybe you're not. But what you're supposed to be doing is just being present and just moving. My God. And when you get there, it is so fucking liberating.
Yeah.
Isn't it? And just really getting out of your head, dropping into the body and feeling what the music does to you without being aware of all these people around you. And just,
I will say though that in a ceremonial like healing space where it's not predominantly sort of like the focus on acting,
Yeah.
I feel like that's actually quite a essential component also for like people, for example, who host acting workshops, because the reason why people cannot do that sometimes is because they don't feel safe, and it's a very vulnerable state that you are putting yourself into, and it's very straining on your nervous system. And I feel like that's why I feel also like within acting workshops and stuff, people should know about trauma as well.
100%.
And they should know about, because like that's actually what is that's what happens there. I mean, literally we'll do these kind of exercises within Sacred Sons, but the container is like set up in a very particular
yeah.
way,
In a safe space.
in a very safe space.
Yeah.
Like we have agreements,
Yeah.
and these are like everyone agrees to them who is in the circle. And like that creates a level of safety where you feel safe to express, and that's what I've been missing a little bit in acting workshops.
Interesting.
Because you okay, you're acting, but like no, you're doing you're being very vulnerable here.
Extremely. That's interesting that you say that because
What do you think
yeah,
about
sorry.
it? No, what?
I mean, yeah, I've thought about this a lot too because and that's why I was very careful about saying how like acting isn't therapy. In therapy or in any form of work that you do to, you know, release trauma and to work through trauma, you're in a safe container. You're with people that are facilitating the space and are moving you through these, you know, these traumatic experiences or the work to get you out, you know, on the other side, healed or you know, enlightened or whatever the kind of work is. With acting, you use it as a tool. You know what I mean? And you need to be, I mean, that's why you hear about, I mean, most famous situation, Heath Ledger, you know, big actors that have a difficult time letting certain characters and situations go. And I believe there should be, when you work with your own personal past and you are working with traumatic experiences and you're kind of using these as a tool, it can be very dangerous because you don't know how to, when you bring that back up, sometimes you don't know how to let it go again. Do you know what I mean? And for me, I've generally had a very safe life. I've grown up with very loving parents that have always created a safe container for me to express and be. And I've been very lucky to have grown up very privileged in a sense that I've never had to really worry about my physical security, you know, or my emotional security. So for me, it doesn't hit a chord as much as it might for others. But I'm very much aware that that is a big reason why there are lots of people that are very closed off to opening up those packages and reliving certain situations that they were in for very understandable reasons. And that's why I think you... you know, there are other forms to get there. There are other techniques where you do work with energies in your body and you don't relive these certain things. And they will be with you, you know, but you don't actively put yourself through certain sensory work into a literal situation from your past and relive that to create the scene authentically. That's not a place you need to go into to create authentic acting. Which is why I say, like, the core of it is presence, connection, and compassion. Because then you can put yourself into imaginary, you know, scenarios.
But don't you think that, like, what would be your... What would be your reply to the question of like the responsibility facilitators of like these kind of things are having, like within acting? Because yes, you are working with these things. Okay, I understand that.
What a great question.
For that matter, the whole industry, maybe.
Yeah. The whole industry. I think for acting coaches and facilitators, really understanding the weight of what you're working with. If you are using someone's personal, private life as a tool maybe also understanding. Here's the problem, though. We see so much incredible acting or art created through brutal circumstances. Like, I don't know if you're aware of, have you seen the movie, what is it called? Blue, is it Blue is the Warmest Color? With Léa Seydoux and, is that what it's called? Blue is the Warmest Color?
Yeah.
That's what it's called, right? Well, incredible film, huh?
Yeah. Like every acting
the acting
school and acting training, people will pull up like scenes.
Pull up scenes from
Isn't that the one with the museum, or where they go into this art exhibition? Isn't there like this one scene with the art exhibition where she meets her ex or something like that? Isn't that?
I don't know that. I don't remember that scene. The acting is incredible though, and what I know about it is mostly how. And I don't know exactly what was done, on set. But I just know that the working conditions were emotionally very tiring because the scenes were so intense. And I know that they were doing the scenes over and over and over again and basically pushed to extreme emotional limits. And what I would just say is, I guess on set, because for me, I can't really speak. I've never been in training or workshop settings with facilitators that have, pushed my limits to an extent where I'm like, I'm not doing this, or this is too much. Like I kind of enjoy also dass man das irgendwie rauskitzelt. I don't know how I say that in English right now. But what I would say for
to get that out of people, yeah.
But what I would say for the industry is, like, on set, I think what a lot of people don't understand is this is emotional work. So, like, giving the actors the space to prepare, and not just the physical but also the emotional space and time to maybe get into these roles, or like, I don't know, you hear so often about how, oh my God, Christian Bale's an asshole because he yelled at that one person who looked him in the eye I understand that. If you're preparing to get into a role and you have people coming at you maybe with not that much experience or not that much sensitivity towards, the emotional world within an actor and what it takes to kind of get to these certain places, it can be very distracting to have people, trying to do small talk or even just like looking at you or asking certain things. Like, I guess just understanding that.
But that would mean, okay, so these people need to know that.
Exactly.
There's
no awareness of that.
There's no awareness of that. Yeah.
And that's the problem with
like I'm holding the microphone.
Yeah.
I'm setting up the lights.
Don't stare at me.
Yeah.
Exactly.
What would I know about acting?
Of course, that's the thing. And there's not, because I think it's because everybody's journey and how they get to these places is so different, and then you have method actors that bring the character back home because that's how they kind of keep this character like truthful and alive. And then you have other actors that just, they're laughing around and then in a blink of an eye they can shut it off and cry, as an example. So it's just, everybody's very different in that. I guess maybe just being sensitive to the fact that, every artist has their own way of getting to where they need to get, I guess. And maybe as for facilitators, like really respecting and understanding that you need to create a safe space for people to feel vulnerable, safe to be vulnerable,
A whole film set has to be that.
Oh, yeah. For sure.
Like, if we're doing any of this kind of work in any other setting, like there's like everyone has to agree to these, like what is about to happen. Otherwise, it's just not safe.
Maybe it's awareness, awareness of the work, You know, you're working with the inner world of a human being.
And I mean, like, I know I've also been on bigger sets, and I know how. And then you have like statisten and like what is the extras and
yeah.
and whatnot, and yeah, it's big and blah blah. But I mean, I haven't really actively thought about it, or neither did I ever talk about this. But now I'm like, that is needed for sure. Like, that is really needed.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's a whole different thing.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, at least I would imagine so for me as an actor. Like, I would feel very different if the space was set up in this way.
Mm.
You know. And yes, the cameraman, yes, the camera operator, the fucking the light person, the audio guy, everyone has to be in.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
And I think you learn to, as an actor, especially like when you're also part of productions that maybe aren't as like big, you learn how to take that space for yourself. You have to. Do you know what I mean? Like, I've really learned to be like, if I need time to get into a scene, then I say, I need 5 minutes or whatever I need. Or I'm going to go into this room next door and do whatever I need to do to get into whatever I need to get into. You know what I mean? So it's also like taking the space for yourself. I guess that's just something that I've had to personally become more comfortable doing, you know, like moving out of this people-pleasing aspect of, I mean, I do love to chat and I love to like get to know everyone on set. I really do. But sometimes I can't, because I really need to be in my own space and prepare, and like letting go of those pleasing tendencies and like looking out for everyone else. Like, no, this is my work, my job, my career, and taking it seriously enough to take what I need and ask for what I need, you know?
Yeah.
And that's also helped me ask for that in my relationships in life, asking for what I need and not feeling bad for asking for what I need, you know? In friendships, romantic relationships, like work relationships, like whatever that is, and not apologizing for it, you know?
Yeah, no, you're right. I mean, obviously, yeah, the world cannot like constantly adjust to your needs and everyone and everything. And there's like a level of self-responsibility.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. And I'm trying to take more responsibility for myself and my life. Like, that's, I think, a really big part of becoming an adult and really growing up. And like, we talk about this all the time. Like, you know, you and I, freshly in our 30s, you know, like, what does that mean? What does it mean to become a man? What does it mean to become a woman? And I think a really big part is taking responsibility for yourself, for your own life.
And your feelings, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, that's like the world. It's not black and white, yeah. And I feel both is true. I feel like both there needs to be a sharpened and heightened sensitivity on sets and in creative spaces for what happens there. And I feel like a lot of damage and hurt and trauma is being potentially sort of like amplified within these scenarios. And then also, obviously, also this like drama thing, and everyone has to do what I say, and everything has to be perfect for the queen to come out, you know. And okay, like I think it's both can be true to a certain extent.
But if that's what you need, like, I mean, I would go as far to say is like, if that's what you need, that's what you need, and then take it. That's what I would say. I mean, I'm really trying to be unapologetic about my needs, because I'm also like very prototype firstborn child of like looking out for everyone else. You know what I mean? And I'm really, really trying to not feel bad.
Yeah, that's those are interesting conversations, because I mean, I just like remember some like, I don't know. I just came across like a technical writer of Frank Sinatra, I think, on Facebook.
Yeah. A technical writer? What
Yeah,
does that
like
mean?
that's like the sheet that like all the venues get when somebody's touring
Okay.
as a musician, for example.
Mm-hmm.
So you have this rider. It's called a technical rider or like a rider sheet, where everything is written on that the artist requests for to be at the venue.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
in your like room, you want to have these kind of beverages and these kind of snacks and other
Yeah.
things, and it's just like fucking wild sometimes, you know.
I know. I've worked in Hollywood and been.
The props and stuff that
Oh yeah, like
people
the specific
request.
type of almond, the brand from Whole Foods.
Macadamia.
Yeah, macadamias. No one's requested macadamias, but yeah. Sorry.
But,
Continue.
yeah, I don't know. Like sometimes, or Wetten, das. Sometimes Thomas Gottschalk, for example, he was talking about like, you know, it's how some people are backstage and like what kind of like when the world stars are coming, you know, Madonna and Michael Jackson, and when they are coming, like what are they requesting? And I guess you could make the point of like, or Ed Sheeran or something like that playing a stadium or whatever. It's like you can make the point of like, okay, like we need to make sure, because there's like 60,000 people waiting,
Yeah.
and it depends on the performance of this person. We have to make sure that he or she has everything that they want and need and desire in order to perform. And then that's one way of, I guess, thinking and going about it. And then there's like also like, okay, this is just like absolutely outrageous, and
Oh yeah.
no person needs
all of that.
moon water.
What do you mean? Moon water is great. What even is moon water? That sounds like something I would love to try. Moon water.
Yeah, there was like this, I guess,
Maybe it's like put under the moon and the energy charges it. I would
something
love
like
to do
that. Yeah, something
I've
like
done
that. Some. I guess
Some-
there's like really sort of like
Yeah.
really weird.
stuff out there.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, I've experienced that firsthand. I guess I would like, I mean, I don't know, if you get to a certain level, right, and everyone is just giving you whatever you want, maybe that's like a very natural reaction to have of just, I mean, I'm not Madonna, but like, I guess it really is always about, why are you doing something? You know, am I doing something because, I don't know.
And do I really
I've-
need this?
And do I really need this? Of course. But I also think like stating your needs is one of the, in my opinion, one of the purest forms of love. Like it's loving and accepting yourself. And honestly, Maxi, like if I need my moon water to be present and perform, then I'm not going to be shy away from the fact that I'm going to ask for my moon water. Do I need to have someone go climb Kilimanjaro and fetch my moon water from the very top? No. But
yeah, it's an interesting.
yeah. It isn't. It's there's two sides to the spectrum, right? And I would just always ask, like, why am I doing something? Am I doing something, like with everything in life? Am I making this decision? Does it come from a place of love or a place of fear? Is it coming from a place of, I'm not saying that any of these artists think this way, but do I need to somehow validate myself by, requesting this specific moon water because I don't feel enough within myself? Or am I doing it because I know that this moon water is really going to make my voice sound a certain way and the audience is going to love it? I guess it's always about why are you doing something,
Yeah, that's a good
Yeah.
good answer. Or good point that you made
And
there.
I also think like self-love has nothing to do with being selfish. Do you know what I'm like? Or selfish has been given such a negative connotation. Do you know what I mean? Like, for example, I would rather, if I have plans with somebody and a friend really is stressed, does not want to meet me, and is putting their needs aside to come meet me, that's not doing me a service in any way because this person doesn't want to be there, you know? So I'd rather have this person say, hey, I'm really busy, or Roxanne, I don't want to hang out with you. I'd rather have that than someone forcing themselves to be in a situation that they're not in. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Because as soon as someone abandons themselves to somehow like make me feel better, or that's not truthful, that's not authentic, that's not coming from a place of love. It's coming from a place of fear. It's coming from a place of, I'm worried that what she's going to think of me if I cancel, or I'm worried about, you know, and I don't, like, I would want someone to be honest enough with me to do what is right for them. I want you to do what is right for you, you know?
Yeah, and that ties into the conversation that we had earlier on. It's like the truth is sometimes pretty, it can hurt, you know, to hear the truth, and the truth of someone about a certain subject that like concerns me. Yeah, I mean, I feel people who are sometimes very loud about authenticity and honesty and all of these values and big things, they are open and receptive to it to the degree that sort of like pleases them, but I feel like if you really live from that place, a lot of people are not really ready for that.
Oh yeah.
What do you think about that?
That was a loaded one. That was a loaded question. I think that's why a lot of people have big reservations with the spiritual community. Because it's always like, because it's always like, why are we so afraid to say, I don't know?
What has that to do with the spiritual community?
Because so many people in the spiritual community deem to have the answers. Do you know what I mean? And sometimes we don't have the answers. A lot of times we don't have the answers. And there's a lot of power in saying, you know what? I just don't know. I think a lot of people mask behind, you know, this idea of enlightenment or knowledge or whatever, and try to hide the uncomfortable aspects of themselves, of life, the ugly stuff we don't like to look at, you know? The stuff that we push aside and are ashamed of. And kind of a wise man once said nothing. And that's something I need to learn too. Of accepting that I don't know everything, you know? Because there's so much comfort in the idea of thinking that you know everything. Because it's safe and secure. And having, the courage to also be wrong. And not be fucking perfect all the time. You don't have to have all the answers. I don't have the answers. A bunch of beliefs I might have now might be totally different in a year's time, in 10 years' time.
Yeah, and I feel like if that is your primary motivation of moving in the world is like avoiding hurt,
Oh, yeah.
then it's gonna be a very blunt or very shallow living.
Yeah.
I feel.
Because it's safe on the outside. And we do so much to avoid, right? I mean, all the distractions that we have today, we do so much to avoid what's actually really, really going on. The hard stuff, the really hard conversations that you should be having with yourself, or not should be having, everyone's on their own path. And for some people, it's not this lifetime to figure out. But we do so much to avoid the parts within ourselves that actually really want to speak.
Yeah.
I want to be heard. I want to be seen.
Yeah, I was just yesterday talking about that with a very good friend, and the truth is always where the hurt is. And where the wound is. Like, that's actually, like, we need to go to exactly these places. Like, we need to go where it hurts in order to change anything about it. Because otherwise, yeah, it's just like that's what's necessary. When and where and how, we can see. But we need to visit these places. And yeah, and I also feel like I certainly get very creative and very sophisticated about like avoiding that.
Avoiding those parts?
Yeah, and avoiding like feeling or sitting with that or whatever. Like, and it's very subconscious because I will even feel or think that I'm like doing work and confronting these pieces. But then there's like also very like a lot of nuances of like, what am I doing on the outside? In order to facilitate a certain change or whatever, versus how I really feel inside about it. These are not always the same things. And it can look or appear to myself that I'm doing something about it, but I'm truly not really, if that makes sense.
Yeah, it makes
if
total sense.
If I'm really being honest with myself.
Of course, it makes total sense.
100% honest with myself. Like, I know, or sometimes I even don't know. That's actually even... And then I realize with a bit of distance, like, fuck, I'm working 70 hours a week. Like, what am I doing? What am I trying to run from here?
Yeah.
I'm just going from A to B all the... And then, like, but wouldn't even consciously say that I'm, like, avoiding something while I'm doing that. I wouldn't even say that. But, like... Sometimes I'm sitting in front of my calendar and then like I'm having like a new thing come in and I'm seeing a gap in the calendar and I'm like putting it right there. And then I'm like, just why am I putting something there now? Like, you could have an evening with nothing planned. Isn't that maybe something planned? Like, isn't that enough planned for something to come up? But I can see where that, like, my default state is to fill it with something, and I feel like that needs to change. As long as I don't, not do that, everything will just go on as it does. And there have been times where I did the opposite, where I've given myself only time to think and wallow and do that. I feel there's also like too much time
Yeah.
for yourself, and to like, I don't know, bathe in that misery or whatever it is that you're like feeling. And so it's like, okay, I think I just need to go for a run, you know? I think I just have to meet a friend maybe, you know? So there's like both can be true and relevant, but it's exactly what we were speaking about yesterday. Yeah.
I resonate with everything that you're saying. And it's interesting because, yeah, you can go into both extremes, right? Where like you're filling up too much of your calendar and it's just way too structured and there's no flexibility for like anything, like, you know, time for yourself or things that'll come up naturally. And then too much free time with no structure at all, you know, and it's always about like finding that balance, I guess. But I resonate with a lot of what you say because I live such a busy life.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I can't think back to a time when it really wasn't this way, but especially in the last years, I love to travel. It just fills me up so much and it inspires me in every way. But that means that, and I love, I really feed off really great human connections. So I love being with people. And sometimes I forget to prioritize my time by myself. And when I'm traveling so much and seeing so many people and visiting so many people and doing so many things, it's can get very loud. And I need to remind myself, you know, the balance, the pendulum, that I need time to listen, and because otherwise it'll just go and it'll be the same, you know, it'll, as you said, it'll just progress and then at some point it catches up to you and you're like, holy shit, I've just been on this autopilot kind of, you know, path that works. But when you really stop and ask, like, wow, how, this is what I mean. How am I doing things? How am I moving through life? Not necessarily what. Like, I know I like to travel. I know I like to, you know, see you at Keemsy. Like, I know I like to do these things. But how am I bringing intentionality into my life and my endeavors in these conversations? And you need that balance. But then again, I also think, back to taking responsibility. You need to take responsibility to look at these parts that you push aside and look at this truth. You know, like that's part of growing up, is stop making excuses for or being in the cycle of yeah, but this happened to me and that happened to me, and feeling so comfortable in the victim role, right? Is what we've also spoken about so often, because that's an excuse to not take responsibility and not look at these parts that are really difficult to look at and that are ugly and that are messy. I think that's a big part of becoming an adult.
Can I ask you a very like personal, honest question?
Yeah.
What are the more shadowy sides of you being so busy? Yeah, you love traveling. Yes,
Yeah.
you love connection. But like, honestly,
I know it. I have stifled creative expression. So on the outside, you wouldn't see it because I make a living off acting and I'm working as an actress and my work is literally art and creation. But the truth in this is I don't work every single day on the set, which is very common. And I mean, it's not a, you know, surprising to people, especially not in the industry. But I'm not allowing full creative expression. I know that. And I'm not sure yet how I am meant to express that yet. Like, I've wondered if it's through music, if it's something more physical. I think what it is writing my own projects and being a bigger part of the creative process of making a movie. I have so many ideas, Maxi. I have so many ideas that I have been wanting to put out into the world, and I think I'm holding myself back. And I keep finding excuses, and I keep filling my schedule with other things that fulfill me, so that I'm not forced to sit down and start these projects. Did that answer your question?
And why? What is the resistance behind sitting down and doing this? Why would you not do that?
Why would I not do that, right? Yeah, exactly. Why would I not do that?
Because I expected something very different now.
Really?
I thought you were going to say, like, I don't know, like some suppressed anger or sadness or grief or something.
No.
And, when I sit down, this will come up or something like that.
No. I love when things come up.
But to sit down to create something, like, why would you not do that?
Because I'm very, and I try not to judge myself about this, but I am quite judgmental towards myself. And I definitely have perfectionistic sides.
Right.
When it comes to me, which is funny, right? Because I know in my truth, like, perfection is so fucking, like, and I really believe this, perfection is so fucking boring. And I'm able to embody that in my acting as well. Like, I've gotten very good at doing certain castings, taping them and being like, you know, this is as good as it's going to get, sending it off, or just working with whatever's there. I've gotten very good at that, but there still are parts in myself that would rather not start something if it's not going to be perfect. Like, I have a very almost like unrealistically high standard for myself in certain areas that I feel like I can never meet. So, like, I don't even start. It's not rejection, because as an actor, you need to learn how to live with rejection. I deal with rejection every single day. You know,
Okay.
You go out for so many roles. I mean, you know this. You had your Excel list. You go out for so many roles and you get, like, what? Out of 100 castings, you get one, and like. So I already ruled that out. There have been times when I've wondered if there's a fear of success, like real success. What does that mean for my life? That was a big thing actually in my last relationship, is I wondered, what would that mean for my relationship? If I, like, say I really, like, took off as an actor, what would that mean?
I mean, what would that mean in the relationship to yourself also?
Exactly. And if we're being completely honest, that would mean more discipline. Like, I would have to force myself to be more disciplined in certain aspects of my life. And really live up to my potential. Fear of potential, my God, that's such a thing. You know? Like, what does it really mean for you to really rise up and live your full potential? Fuck, that's scary. Because so much falls away. So much of what you know falls away. What does that mean for my relationship? What does that mean for my friendships? What does that mean for my family dynamics? You know, I'm seeing this right now in my family situation right now. My brother, he's a musician. And he, in the last couple months, has really been, he's at the beginning of his career and he's really starting to take off. But what does that mean? That means he's not there for family vacations. He's working on Thanksgiving, you know, stuff like that.
And do you think like that was scary for him?
No.
For you guys?
Actually, I don't know.
maybe?
I don't know if it was. I'd have to ask him. It's
But-
something. Yeah.
But let's say
sorry.
with you, like
Yeah, that would be
why-
scary for me. 100%. Yeah.
It'd
Sorry.
be scary for you to not like have that anymore,
Mm-hmm.
as a repercussion of you being more successful.
Yeah, because for me, I believe that I have. Oh my God! Wait 1 second. And there's a Schau mal die Libelle auf dem Ding. Die Libelle.
Oh wow!
Yeah, dragonflies have been like I've been seeing so many dragonflies lately. It's the weirdest thing. I have to look up what it means. I think it's like.
Well, it's the symbol of the Gene Keys. Is a
Are
dragonfly.
you serious?
Of course. It's
Are
the
you
great
serious?
change also. Gene Key 55.
Are you serious?
It's what the whole humanity is moving towards. That's a dragonfly.
Yeah, dragonflies. Like I've been seeing so many dragonflies. They've been everywhere.
Yeah, because the dragonfly stems from this underwater nymph.
Uh-huh.
And it's crawling up. This is a metaphor for humanity.
Yeah.
It crawls up a stalk into out of the water into the light.
Oh.
And this process of like from this nymph, this underwater nymph,
Yeah.
to this crawling up the stalk and then of grass, and then with the light and the energy of the light sort of like growing into this iridescent creature, which is so beautiful and multifaceted and colored and shaped and with its impeccable capabilities, is something that humanity is going through as a metaphor, because we are something is like the last 2,000 years we've been preparing for the great change, for something where we further develop as a species into a whole new level of we're just like going to evolve further. That's what's
Wow.
happening.
I knew it was a symbol of change.
Yeah.
Well, I
And-
wonder what that means now for me. I mean, I'm going through we both are, but I've felt like, especially in the last year, it's just rapid changes and like ups, downs, just everything, like crazy curveballs that I didn't expect. Like,
Yeah, we can. I make a solo episode about this, but
Yeah,
like
you
let's stay there quickly now.
yeah, yeah.
Why would so you'd be scared of your own potential? You would be. There's fear.
Yeah, there's fear. I believe in what does that mean for my life? Like, because I think in a sense I've grown also so comfortable with the life that I've built, and I love that. I'm genuinely, so much is changing in my life, but I'm I'm grateful for everything. Like I guess it is the unknown of like, what does that mean, Maxi? Like, I don't know what that would mean in terms of where I'll be living. Like, how often will I be seeing like my family, my friends? Like, also like Keynote family. That's always been a huge thing for me. That's been a huge part of my identity. That's been a huge part of, like, if not the number one priority actually in my life. And maybe it is wondering what that means for the family dynamic. Maybe it also means like, going back to me feeling responsible as like an oldest child in some sort of way, to be there for my family and be there and uphold some type of family dynamic in a way. Maybe it is that, you know? But I think it does stem from a fear of like, what would that mean? What would, like, die komplette Potenzialentfaltung, was bedeutet das? Und wie würde sich mein Leben ändern? And, yeah.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, thank you for sharing. And I just wish that you remain to be as open as you are in this moment with yourself, and act accordingly, I guess, going forward. You know, and because I wish for you to be in your full potential. I wish for you to be even more fearless and to express yourself unapologetically and to bring through what I'm seeing in you and what I've experienced with you, which is like a lot of wisdom, a lot of power that resides within you. He clearly wants to
join the conversation.
Yeah. With a lawnmower. No, but like, I feel it's like a disservice to humanity to some degree.
Maxi.
If you're not like letting more people like feel that in your art or in your physical presence, obviously, or whatever. So, I mean, I feel that for all of humans, like, if we don't show our gifts and express them, I mean, we, you know, depending on your belief, but like for me, it's like, you know, God created us this way for a reason, and so I that's what I wish for you, really wholeheartedly, and what I can see you also avoiding at parts, you know, and I wish for you to be even like more free with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And what you see in me, I see in you. Everything that you just said, I find is such a reflection also of yourself. You know, you can only see something in someone else if you have it within yourself. Which is why I like...
You spot it, you got it.
You spot it, you got it, baby. You spot it, you got it. I love that. And that's something that you've told me on many occasions. In a very loving way. But like, you know, when we've had conversations about things that are triggering, or this person isn't doing this, well, where am I not doing this in my life, you know? And yeah, I think that's why we stay in situations, jobs, relationships. Because we don't know what it would mean. We keep ourselves small because we don't know what it would mean wenn wir uns wirklich entfalten würden. You know?
Yeah. I mean, I was holding on for 2.5 years to the idea of someone because that was more comfortable and familiar than something new would. So I was holding on to what felt familiar but was causing me a lot of pain.
Yeah.
Because letting that go would mean insecurity and the loss of control.
The loss of control, yeah.
And I think, like, without judgment, like, that's an important realization we can have. Like, no shaming, blaming yourself for like being in a situation that is obviously not good for you,
Yeah.
or you know that there's like more to you, because like where you are right now is giving you maybe stability, and this is also something that we are looking for in our
Yeah.
lives, because something new is also like taxing on our nervous system, on everything. Like expansion is sometimes very hurtful and very uncomfortable, you know. And
Of
so
course, yeah.
like, you know, to the best of our abilities, I'm excited to hear how much that comes through in the recording. Yeah, that's something that we can only meet with compassion, I feel, and it just like takes time. Yeah, it certainly took a lot of time for me,
Yeah.
and yeah, and then there's no one way of like dealing with this.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Do you feel like it was a shift in, or like your identity was being challenged? Like, for example, because if you would have had to accept this kind of new way of thinking,
Mm.
then that would also mean like change who you are. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Because we are to a degree the sum of our learned experiences. That's what we identify as and make part of our identity, I feel. And so that's why I was in an identity crisis after the breakup, the job loss, the apartment loss, all of that. Because like if you take away all that, like what remains?
yeah, who are you when
Who
you take
are
all
you?
that away?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And obviously like there's like a very deeper essence part, and like I'm spending a lot of time like investigating that, what it is for myself, so that this is more like unshakable, no matter the external. But then also I'm human, and I don't always live in that space. Like I also live in the world, and if you take away things here, like it needs some time to recalibrate. And I think that's totally fine and normal. I guess just like, you know, a constant sort of like recalibration, and like being really honest with yourself. Like,
yeah.
am I still running from these parts, and why am I holding on
Yeah.
to that? Is that serving me now? And do I want this? Like, do I, you know, sometimes it's like, okay, like actually I can't change this right now. It would just be overwhelming. I need to do one step like this, for example. Don't like change like what they say after ayahuasca ceremonies. Like, don't quit the job. Don't, I don't know what they say with ayahuasca. They say we say going out of a sacred sons experience, and we call these peak experiences. Don't make life-altering decisions 6 months after these events.
6 weeks after
Six
this.
months. Sorry,
6
6
months
months
after these events,
If it's still like active and resonant within you, act on that, but don't act on peak experiences. Like, don't make changes based upon a peak experience.
Because then it would be impulsive, you mean?
Take like time to marinate in that, and then take a decision, and make a decision and take action.
Yeah, but and then marinating in that is also not the same as like pushing it aside. You know what I mean? Like, again, avoiding, you know, keeping that alive, but also like letting it settle, letting the energy settle within you.
Exactly.
Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, and like quitting the job, quitting the relationship, changing cities and stuff, might be a little bit too much. You know, maybe you start off with the job, and then you question, and then you see what that brings and how that influences the relationship you're in, or whatever the situation. But yeah, it's interesting things. How do you feel?
I feel very grateful. And I feel like there's so much to still unpack within, like, myself, yourself. Like, I'm thinking about a lot of the ways that I'm, like, you know, how I show up in these conversations, like how I can relate to these aspects that we're talking about, you know, and how I'm showing up in my life right now for myself, you know. And I'm also thinking a lot about, like, letting people go their own way and have their own journey and their own experience, and, you know, being okay with letting people also make the wrong decisions because those are the right decisions for them. You know what I mean? And I mean, yeah, like, just a lot settling, like a lot of thoughts, things are just settling, like a lot of impulses that came up, and you know, just what I was saying, what we were also talking about before, like, loving yourself and others enough to let them make their own decisions, no matter what your own notions are of, you know, what the best decision is for them. And I've had to remind myself of that many times in my life because, you know, I'm so close to my family members and my siblings, and as an oldest sibling, you always kind of want to support and offer direction in a way to your younger siblings, but you can't really, you know, because everyone's just on their own journey. And that's what I mean with a wrong decision in your mind can be a right decision for them, because you need to let people go their own path and go through their own journey and come to these conclusions themselves. And maybe that's not for, you know, even this life, you know, maybe that's meant to be many lifetimes ahead. Certain lessons that you learn and certain things that you experience, you know. Are you thinking about your sunburn?
No.
I'm thinking about your sunburn.
Do I have a sunburn? Pretty much, yeah.
No, it's a little bit like rosy, but I think it's going to be a tan.
Yeah.
But but you tan, right?
Yeah, I tan.
Yeah, you're going to be really...
But I've been out of the sun, obviously, for the last 1.5, 2 weeks, because there was just no sun.
There was no sun, yeah.
And
I think she wants to join us.
yeah. Thank you for this conversation. Thank you for being here and coming here and just like for being who you are and what you've introduced into my life. And yeah, it's just like I admire your curiosity about like the world and people in particular, and I always feel like this is something like your whole family has, like you've all like experienced a lot already, and you've seen a lot and traveled a lot and have a lot of life experience in that way, but you remain like curious and open, and you want to know about like genuinely how other people feel, and what drives them to be in the world in a certain way and all of that. And that's a great quality, and something that I really want to embody more of myself, and I'm reminded of that anytime that I spend time with you. So yeah, thank you for bringing that gift through, and I'm very excited to see where the journey goes, like where your journey just goes, creatively, personally, on all levels. So yeah, thank you.
Thank you, Maxi. Those are beautiful words, and I receive them all gladly. And I'm so incredibly thankful for you and everything we've experienced together. All the places I've visited you where you've lived so far, all the fancy, beautiful houses, apartments, lakeside, penthouses. No one's
quite
gonna know
the
what that
journey.
means. It's been quite the journey. No, but we were just saying on our way here, I admire your courage, and I admire your honesty, and just how you've really, really, really learned to just surrender. And you're like, but genuinely is just like in these times of just intense change and fluctuation, just how you've just allowed the flow. And, you know, even if that comes with turmoil and fear and being unsure about, you know, what happens tomorrow. And as you told me last year, you know, when I was going through a really difficult time and a big change in my life, take it day by day. And then you said, no, actually take it moment by moment. And I've been doing that ever since, in this time of just intense change. I think that's all you really can do. So I admire you for your courage in that. Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you, Maxi. Now let's roast some macadamias.
Yeah. I want to give you a hug now.
So much fun. I could keep yapping for like 5 more hours with you. But I'm starting to get hungry.
Yeah, ask me, man. I'm starving.
Guys.
Hey, beautiful listener, you have made it all the way through. And I want to take a moment to say thank you. And you can do me an enormous favor. It's all I'm going to ever ask from you. And that is to go to your podcast app right now. And if you enjoyed the episode, give the podcast a 5-star rating. If you want to write 1-2 words or sentences, even more powerful, even better, thank you, already in advance. And also, while you're at it, just click on that follow button, on that bell notification, so that you never miss a new episode. All of that just contributes, and it helps me to increase the reach of the podcast. That means I can attract bigger guests, and that means I can deliver more powerful episodes. So it's a tiny thing. I'm only gonna ask this little favor of you ever, not more. 10-15 seconds of your time, a couple of clicks, that's it. Makes a huge difference for me as a creator. So thank you so much.